All right. Looks like our numbers are coming in slower and slower, so we'll go ahead and dive in here. So welcome everybody. My name is Erin Fossum, and we are here to talk about how to build your first accessible landing page in 30 days. There we go. As I mentioned, my name is Erin Fossum, and I am the Accessibility Program Director at Miles. And my team is focused on digital accessibility, so making sure that websites are compatible with assistive technology like screen readers, and making sure that travelers with disabilities have the travel planning information and content that they need on those websites. For those of you who may not know us, Miles Partnership is a global marketing company focused exclusively in travel and tourism. And we work with around more than 200 destinations and hospitality businesses around the world. Most recently, we've had the pleasure to work with the team from Explore Georgia to launch their first accessible travel landing page. So I am joined by Lindsay Isaacs, the website content manager, and Megan Hood, the division director at Explore Georgia. Today, actually, before I jump into the agenda, let me mention that we are taking questions at the end of the session. So please feel free to throw questions into that Q&A box as we go, and we'll address those at the end there. So today for the agenda, we'll start with the framework and take that step back to realize what was able to enable the Explore Georgia team to build this landing page and do so within 30 days. And of course, addressing what constitutes an accessible landing page in the process. And then we'll take a little closer look at the process that Lindsay and her team implemented throughout that 30 days. And to wrap up, Megan's going to take us through what's next for their accessible landing page, as well as the organization's accessibility goals. So the framework. Taking that step back, a couple months ago, late this summer, Miles partnered with Travelability on their accessible landing page initiative. So an accessible landing page is a resource or a page that is on a destination's website that has content for travelers with disabilities. And they have that information without having to pick up the phone or having to email somebody for those specific accommodations. And the initiative is working to increase the number of destinations that include this information for travelers with disabilities and their travel companions directly on their website. Earlier this year, we did attend the Travelability Summit, and I did include and wanted to pass on the resources and the research that Miles did with Travelability for that conference. And you can find those resources at milespartnership.com/travelability. And I also threw that link in the chat for you guys. So before Miles came onto the scene with Travelability, they had already found roughly 50 destinations that had some content on their site for travelers with disabilities. So in trying to figure out how to have more destinations build up this type of content, I decided to take a look at the destinations that were already doing this and see what we could I could find that would help additional destinations start building these. So to start, I noticed that there were 3 main formats for all of this content. So it was either a curated hub page where it was one landing page that linked off to more specific content, or it was a dedicated page where all of the information was readily available within one URL, or it was a PDF resource. And there was a very large variance between how much content was on these pages, regardless of the format, really. So some content was very robust and just lived within one URL, while others were a little bit less intense on a hub page, but still had a large volume. Now, the big differentiator here is that the content that had the substance or the examples or specifics for people with disabilities really was the best content out there. So instead of having broad sweeping statements that said, our destination is accessible to people with disabilities, very broad reaching, we want to further qualify that with the specifics for all of the different disabilities that you can and might be able to offer examples for. The findings from the full audit are also available at that milespartnership.com/travelability. So the results from that audit and figuring out what was going on is was the Accessible Landing Page Maturity Scale. And this scale is developed as a framework. They're not hard and fast rules, but it is the framework and the scaffolding for destinations to follow and build their own pages. And really is bent on the fact that we have to start someplace, and then we can continue to grow and mature into more advanced and robust landing pages and content and planning supplies for people with disabilities. In the full maturity scale, all of these, as well as the details under each of them, are available at milespartnership.com/accessible-landing-page. And the first step as consideration, because it actually takes a lot more than some people think to begin creating a new section of content on your site. And the fact is, by being here, you guys have already checked that one off your list. So congratulations. I bet you didn't know that you were going to be stepping into this with one check mark off the list here. So congrats. We will be focusing on the beginner step today with the Explore Georgia process. And I want to talk through the philosophy that set up the beginner stage. So it's all bent on getting started. It is designed to be easy to execute, and we are seeking existing resources rather than inventing new content right away. And we're starting with the basics, both in page format as well as in the type of content and the type of planning information that we are including for these folks. So square one, the beginner landing page, the 4 milestones that we focused on, or that are in the beginner phase, are introducing the concept to your organization, initiating relationships with local audiences and local resources, and curating essential travel planning information, and building and launching within 30 days. And yes, that is 30 days. And that's the biggest point of this session, of this phase, is because it is intended to get us started. It is the key point where there will always be room for improvement, for expanding information, and all of the above, but we need to get something on paper, so to speak, so that the people that are traveling and planning right now have something to go forward with. So I'm going to let Lindsay introduce Explore Georgia a little bit more and tell us about their accessibility efforts, and we'll go through the process of their of building their accessible landing page in 30 days. Over to you, Lindsay.
Great, thank you, Erin. I'm Lindsay Isaacs. I'm the website content manager for exploregeorgia.org. And when the Miles team and Erin introduced this 30-day challenge, I was a little nervous, but excited to get started. We know we have a tremendous variety of accessible things to do around Georgia, from our cities and small towns to our mountains and our beaches. And this project offered a step toward making those things easier to find on our site, so travelers can see that Georgia is a great place to visit and ultimately plan their trips. And we also know that a lot of people travel to Georgia to visit friends and relatives. So a page like this would be really helpful to Georgia residents also who want to plan trips, plan activities that everybody can enjoy while they're visiting. But knowing there are so many options and ways to experience Georgia, the size and scope of a project like building out the ultimate hub for accessible travel information was really overwhelming. And with our small staff, it seemed just too big to even start. But you know, they say a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step, and this showed us the way to take that first step. So now that we've started, we'll keep following the path toward making this the best resource it can be for our travelers. And you'll see this slide, it has the URL for our page right now. It's exploregeorgia.org/accessible-travel. So if you'd like to check it out as we talk, you can scroll through there. But we've started following the process that was broken into 4 milestones. And milestone 1 is to introduce accessible travel to your organization and find existing connections. So Explore Georgia is a division of the Georgia Department of Economic Development, which works with communities and businesses throughout the state, from arts and film to life sciences and logistics and everything in between. So for this milestone, our Deputy Commissioner, Mark Duronsky, during a regular meeting, explained the project to other senior leaders in the department and asked for them to share any contacts they might have at organizations that work with people with disabilities who might be interested in working with us on this project. We wanted to identify existing connections within the department and to start reaching out to those groups. And for milestone 2, then it is to initiate relationships with local resources. So we contacted our department's ADA coordinator, who suggested that we work with the Georgia State ADA Coordinator's Office, which provides educational and technical support to state agencies so that programs and services are accessible and usable by everyone. And that office has a joint project called Access GA with the Georgia Institute of Technology Center for Inclusive Design and Innovation and the Georgia Technology Authority. And they provide technical assistance for information and communication technology projects, including web accessibility. And actually, earlier this year, that team had evaluated our website and others in our department and recommended accessibility improvements on the technical side, best practices and things that would improve how our site functions for those using assistive technologies. And we had a call with them to introduce this project and ask for their feedback and recommendations. And they were more than happy to offer their support and make themselves available to help. And I see this milestone 2 as an ongoing step. We've collected a list of approximately 25 other groups to contact in the disability community to seek out their expertise and find out what information their members need to plan their travel, what destinations they might know around the state that are great places to visit, and find out more about how our site can help them make their travel plans. Then milestone 3 is to curate essential travel planning information. And this is where we were gathering the information to put on our first draft of the page. So we started with transportation options, including major airports and transit systems and major attractions. And we have thousands of attractions and points of interest on exploregeorgia.org. So choosing where to start was really tough on this one. But for this 30-day project, we were limited to just a few transportation options and 5 attractions, which seems like just the tiniest tip of the iceberg of what's available. But we had to start somewhere. So we selected 5. And to choose those, we pulled a report of the attractions with the most traffic on our site and then looked at their websites for accessibility information that we could summarize and link to so travelers could find more detailed information to plan their trips. So the goal of the page at this point is to highlight some accessible places to go and to point travelers to get more details directly from those destinations. Then milestone 4 is to build and launch the page within 30 days. So following the guidelines to keep the page simple, we've started with mostly text and only a few images. And we also included contact information to offer visitors a way to tell us about other accessible destinations they've experienced in Georgia. And we're already looking forward to continuing to build out the page with more destinations and features to offer trip ideas and helpful planning tools that will encourage more travelers to explore all the wonderful things there are to see and do in Georgia. And just on a personal note, for me, this has been a great learning experience, not only to look at our state's destinations through the lens of their accessibility, but also to learn more about the needs of travelers with a range of abilities. And just knowing the joy that travel brings to me and how incredible our state is, if this project helps inspire more people to get out and try new things and explore new places in Georgia, it'll be even more rewarding to know that this contributed to enriching their lives in some way. So thank you to Erin and the Miles team and Travelability for all the work you've done to create this framework and start guiding us down this path.
Absolutely. I'm so excited and proud of what Lindsay and the Explore Georgia team have accomplished so far in an initiative, like I said earlier, as big as trying to create a hub of content for a state nonetheless can be very daunting, but it's truly important to pause and remember to take a look back and realize how far you have come, whether it's, having gone through a million hours of audits and testing and anything like that and new content, or even just getting through these first 30 days of this challenge. It is a massive undertaking, and you should be very proud of everything that you guys have done so far. So Explore Georgia has conquered the 30-day challenge and to build this page. So they're not stopping here, as Lindsay has alluded to. And Megan is here to tell us about their ongoing efforts and that they plan on continuing on with.
Yeah, and big props to Lindsay and to Erin and the whole team. They've done an incredible job. When they first introduced this project, I was like, oh, it's just a landing page. How hard can that be? But it is, because we're a huge state. And I think even in the smallest community, this would be complicated because there is so much, and you want to make sure you do get everything in one place. And it's a lot of work. So I think these steps really helped us kind of prioritize and make the work achievable and kind of move us down a path. So like Lindsay and Erin both said, like, we're not done, we've just gotten started. And that's really what I wanted to talk about a little bit. We've been working on accessibility for a while now. And about a year ago, we started working with the Georgia Tech Center for Inclusive Design and Innovation. And they're a really wonderful resource here in Georgia that we use to do a full deep dive audit of our website to address all of the back-end technical issues. Our website was functioning great. It kind of checked all the ADA boxes that we needed to check, but we knew we could do more and we knew we could do better. So Georgia Tech really helped us understand where all the opportunities were, and working with Miles, we've been implementing those over the last year. We also work really closely with the state ADA office, like Lindsay referenced, both on this project as well as in our brick and mortar spaces. So we have 9 visitor centers that we run throughout the state of Georgia, and they're currently undergoing an audit as well with the state ADA office and the Department of Transportation ADA office to make sure that those centers are not just meeting standards, but exceeding standards, to make sure that we're welcoming all the guests into this state. And this is really what we talk about. I've kind of dubbed it our accessibility stack, because it's not just about a landing page. It's not just about the things you do on your website to make your tech accessible, or things you do in your physical spaces. It's all those things combined that really get you to a place that really makes you a friendly destination and a welcoming destination for every traveler who wants to come to your space. So that was really, really important to us. And like they both said, this is just the beginning of our journey, especially on the content side. Lindsay's already digging in and looking at the next phase. We have some wonderful partners that we work with, and I think that's really important too, to make sure that they're at the table with you. We're not the experts in this. Erin certainly is an expert voice, but we always want to make sure that we have those disability advocates with us as well, that they're sitting at the table with us and helping us inform and make decisions.
Absolutely. Thank you, Megan. All right, so we have a challenge now for you. We are extending that 30-day challenge your way. So we have 30 days roughly left in the year. So take a look at milespartnership.com/accessible-landing-page and start your beginner accessible landing page. See if you can launch it by December 30th and let us know how it went. Once you do accomplish it, whether it's within that 30 days or a little bit longer, whatever you guys need, make sure that you add it to the Travelability's Accessible Destinations directory. And you can find that at travelability.net/add-your-destination. And that URL, just as the other URLs I have mentioned so far, are available in your chat. So with that, I will open it up, and we have a couple of minutes here for questions and we'll get answers. And if we can't get to all of them, then we will follow up in directly with those answers. So please feel free to throw those in the chat. And thank you for being here with us today. All right. And if you do have questions, please make sure you're throwing them in the Q&A. Thank you. So what would you, I think I'll pass this over to the Explore Georgia team. What would you guys recommend if for people that are just getting started today?
Well, I would say definitely go to the resources that you've provided and start there and see, you know, what the steps in the framework and the milestones that you've set out. And I know for me, a deadline is so helpful, even though they are sometimes dreaded, but just putting a goal and a date on the calendar is something that you need to reach, and giving yourself these 30 days, that's, you know, it's a lot of time and it's not a lot of time at the same, you know, in the same way. So just setting that goal out there and getting started is really my main recommendation right now.
Excellent. And I did just resend that the Explore Georgia link. I do apologize. It was incorrect in my previous note at the beginning of the session. All right, let's see. Another question is your content focused on mobility or also other areas such as cognitive, vision, and hearing? Lindsay, you want to take that one?
The information that I was finding was, like, as I said, this was a big learning experience. So seeing the different information that was available, it's just varied. And depending on the destination, you know, they could have some resources to help with, you know, autistic travelers, helping them prepare for their visit, you know, as well as the mobility challenges people might have. So just in our, you know, just getting started, seeing the variety of information that was there was enlightening. So our goal will be to include as much information as we can on all these different all different kinds of resources that are available to help travelers with different abilities make their plans.
And Lindsay, just to add to that, I think we didn't really focus on servicing mobility or cognitive vision or hearing. We really focused on the destinations and what they had available and what they focused on accommodating. Really, you know, how busy or how attractive a destination is to our visitors is how we kind of chose what went in first. And then what they had to making sure they had accommodations that they were offering. It really was up to them because different locations require different accommodations.
Absolutely. Next question that kind of dovetails off of that is, what is your plan moving forward to add attractions to the original 5?
Well, we need to set that out. We need our next 30-day plan.
Yeah, a great point to add there is that there is a contact us element to this landing page. And so one of the points from the conversations that we had with the ADA office is that a lot of this information, some like for better and for worse, changes quite rapidly. And very often users and crowdsourcing that information is going to be a huge way to collect the most recent and updated information. But yeah, we've got plans to keep expanding and adding more and more businesses and organizations to that list, 100%. Next question is kind of similar to that, which is how do you prioritize next steps? And that is part of the maturity scale that is outlined. So getting this initial page up was step 1. And step 2, as you'll see in the accessible landing page, kind of full step-by-step guide, is to further invest in the relationships with the organizations that already are out there. A lot of them, whether they're tourism operation businesses specifically or disability advocacies, already have a lot of information available. And so still trying to figure out how to expose more and more content is a big step in that next phase. and then starting to set the groundwork and get the wheels moving for the creation of new content, which is all outlined with some recommendations in that maturity scale step-by-step guide. And I should have mentioned at the beginning, this webinar is being recorded. So we will share that recording at the, in following this webinar so that you have it available for yourself, as well as sharing with other people in your organizations. Let's see here. Oops. This one is stepping a little bit outside the framework, but Explore Georgia team, how do you guys plan, or have you thought about getting the word out to travelers that that this content exists? Any ideas on how you might be interested in doing that?
Yeah, I think there are a number of ways. I'm still a little shy about it, honestly, at this point. Because it is only 30 days in and we only have 5 attractions on there. So, but I know as we continue building it out, we're going to have some really great content and some really great trip ideas. It's going to be super helpful and useful, and I'm going to be so excited to share it. So, you know, highlighting it in our email newsletters, on social media, and other places on the site. Any way that we can to promote our content, that we do other content, I'll be excited to do that when we feel awesome about it.
Lindsay's a little more shy than I am. You know, the other thing we've been doing is we've had a lot of conversations with disability influencers and journalists. So that is something that we've really looked into this year, and we've had a lot of great conversations. We're planning trips for a bunch of those folks in the upcoming year. So that also helps spread the word about accessible travel in Georgia.
Absolutely. All right, just taking a look at time here. We've got a little bit more time for questions. These are great ones. Keep them coming. Next question for the Explore Georgia team is, did your efforts in the planning development stage include actually talking with the disabled travelers as a user group to better understand how they use travel websites, what issues are of concerns with them? I will preface that before I pass it off to the Explore Georgia team, is that the framework was created with the knowledge base from the travelability conferences and the summit that are there, that is basically a group and a hub of travelers with disabilities and experts, whether it's lived experiences or getting or planning travel for people with disabilities, etc. So there was an element in designing the framework before what the Explore Georgia team did apply directly to their piece, but I'll let them speak additionally to themselves, which Megan kind of already alluded to.
Yeah, and I'll take this one. This really goes back to that team at Georgia Tech that we worked with. This is really their expertise, and where they have all of the experts in-house who work on this. And we really relied on them to help us understand. So all of the back-end technical work we've been doing on our site for the last year really addresses that. This framework, like Erin said, applies all those learnings and has those built into them, all the basic things that need to be happening from that. So you don't have to go and do all the focus groups and things like that. All of those learnings are baked into this. But I would encourage you, if you're to look at more than just this landing page and your accessibility initiatives, and make sure that you are engaging with experts, you know, either in your community or within your industry, to make sure that you've got those voices at the table with you.
All right, thank you. And we've got time for about one more here. And the question is, how did you curate the content that went on the landing page, and did you write any new content?
We summarized content that was available on the destinations websites and linked to their pages for more details. So right now it's just summarized information.
Mm-hmm.
I think in the future, we're definitely looking at content creators who can, you know, write about their experiences and write about their trips through Georgia. I think that's something in the next year that we're definitely going to be adding, but right now it is just that pass-through link.
Awesome. All right, well, that is time for us today. If we didn't get to answer your question live, we will follow up in the when we send out the recording with answers to all of those questions as well. So thank you again very much for your time and your interest and commitment to expanding accessible travel information to people with disabilities. And good luck with all your work, and let us know if you take that challenge and how it goes. Have a great day, everybody.